That's the sound of the man working on the chain gang.
Can you hear me say it?
Keep it right there. Yeah. Come on. Sweet. Sing for me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Swaggy Vets Podcast. I'm your host, Big Pen. I got my co-host and my best friend with me, First Swaggy Veteran. What's up, baby?
What's going on, Swaggy Vets? What's going on, our friends and family out there? How y'all doing?
Man, we want to thank everybody. We just hit 35,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the love and support, and we couldn't do it without you. So salute to y'all. Thank you so much. Also, we got the Tough Mudder coming up, April 26th down in Atlanta, Georgia. It'll be in the description. If y'all want to come out and hang out with the Swaggy Vets crew, hit us up. And then also September 5th, 6th, and 7th, we'll be in Orlando, Florida, doing the Warrior Weekend with the Warrior Shield Foundation. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. We got country music star Ryan Weaver going to perform, Carrie Underwood, and we got some other cool events going on out there. So come out and support us. All right, we got a special guest.
Very special guest.
Very special guest. We're going to bring to the stage Kristin Hermosillo.
Run this mother, girl, run the world, girl, run the world, girl.
Kristin.
Good. How y'all doing?
Good. All right, we got a cool intro for you. Today's guest is Kristin Hermosillo, a former staff sergeant in the U.S. National Air Guard, a mother of 5, a financial professional, and a fierce advocate for growth and healing. From teen motherhood to military service, and now helping veterans and family find financial freedom, Kristin's journey is one of resilience, transformation, and breaking stereotypes. Her story isn't just about serving her country, it's about finding her purpose after the uniform and using her past to uplift others. Welcome to the show, Kristin.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. You sound all cool. I don't think I've ever heard it like smashed together like that before. That was pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you. No worries. Hey, this is about you. This is about your amazing journey. And like I said, we want to highlight you and bring you on and tell your story. All right. So run us back. What made you want to join the military, knowing everything you know, why or why not?
Yeah, definitely. I was raised, actually, my house was next door to my grandfather. It was really
Okay.
cool. My grandfather built us a little fence in the backyard so we could always go over back and forth to my grandparents' house. So I was always constantly over there. My grandfather was actually started his service in the Air Force. And so I saw him growing up in his uniform, all the things he was doing. And so I always wanted to join. I always saw him out there. I'd always make him give me like, be like, put me at attention, be like, attention, so I'd sit there and like, I was just this little thing going through it. And he got to work on the F-16. We got to see, we lived here in Tucson, Arizona. And so we had Davis Monthan Air Force Base. So we got to see a lot of those planes, the air shows come through here. So it was really something always inspiring to me to do. And when I actually got pregnant when I was 17, had my baby and was kind of going through life, trying to figure it out. Got married super young, had another baby right away, just trying to find myself. And then I remembered that this was something I wanted to do, and it was still calling me, still like, hey, try it out, let's do it. And so, to provide for my family and keep going forward, I decided to actually finally take that step and join.
Awesome. So you kind of had a little different experience because a lot of women come in with no kids, but you had kids. How do you think that shaped your approach and leadership in the Air Force?
Definitely, like, it provided me a little bit of that resilience initially. I
Mhm.
I started as a teen mom, so having to figure out, like, how my life was gonna live, how I was gonna provide for my kids, what I was gonna do and fight through, like, the naysayers that are going against me as a teen mom and like, "Well, you're just another statistic, like, this is all you're not gonna be anything." It was kind of providing me that little bit of a fight to go out there and do it for my kids, to step up and keep fighting every day and everything that I'm doing to provide for them and to
Mhm.
provide that foundation so that way I can show them that we can do this. We'll do it together, and I can do it for you, going through it.
Absolutely. So going in the Air Force, and going through the things you did you ever question your decision to go in the Air Force?
So the only time I ever questioned it, I was 21 when I finally
Mhm.
joined. It was my first time away from home. Like I
Oh,
had never
wow.
been. It was my second time on an airplane.
Mm.
So being away from my family, and then especially being away from my young boys, because at the time they were 1 and 3. So it was really difficult. And I remember one of the days just being like, am I being a bad mom being away from my kids? Like, am I not being supportive? Like, it was I was really questioning, like, is this the right thing I need to do? And I kind of just remembered, like, hey, I'm doing this for them. This is setting
Mhm.
up, them for a better future, us for a better future, for my family. And I just kept reminding myself of that every time I woke up or every time I was getting yelled at or something was happening during basic training. I was like, no, this is for them. There was that giant why, right? They're saying, like, if you're
Mhm.
going out for a goal or you're going out for your future, you got to find that why, and it's got to be big enough for you to
Oh,
keep
yeah.
fighting. And that
Absolutely.
just provided me with that big why.
So what do you think a stereotype women get in the military, and you just say, hey, y'all need to stop believing that. That's not what it is.
I think one of the biggest things I've seen is like women can't emotionally handle some
Mhm.
tasks or some like missions, some things. Oh, they're not gonna be able to. It makes them weak, the emotions, things like that. Not at all. If anything, it makes you stronger to be able to express that, to be able to show it, and to be able to work through it. I think women do really well at that and manage it, especially if you're a mom, especially if you're going through things like that. You know how to tackle those emotions. And then you know how I think women have more of that, a lot of that empathy, right? So then
Okay.
they're understanding to everybody else within that mission or within that task that they're working, so they're able to navigate those emotions. They know how to navigate it themselves, so they know how to navigate that with their team. I think that's super important when you are on a mission or when you're doing something in life, to be able to see and recognize those feelings and recognize when people's going through something. Because if you see that maybe in a troop or in someone that you're working with, you're like, okay, hold on, let's stop a second. What's going on here? Because we can't get through this. We can't succeed if you're going through something. We all have to be on that
Okay.
same page moving forward. And I
Mhm.
like to say, like, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And it's not that you're weak, it's that you're going through something. Let's get you on this same page as us. I think women have
Mhm.
a really good job at paying attention to those emotions that people go through. And so it really makes them stronger in that sense when they're becoming in the leadership roles and going through these different tasks they're going through. Hi, Kristin Hermosillo here. Thank you so much for tuning into my episode. Don't forget to like and comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you'd love to hear more amazing stories from fellow veterans, don't forget to subscribe to Swaggy Vets Podcast. Stay swaggy, stay strong.
Absolutely. So I know we initially talked about, your grandfather was in the Air Force, and you saw how his service was. How did that kind of influence your service and the reality of your own military experience?
Yeah, and when seeing him in his service, like, it was fun, like, to see him going through it, and I was so proud of him. When I actually got in and when I joined, I didn't realize all the hard work that went into
Okay.
it. What he was truly doing to support his family, to support everything on the outside, right? You don't see those connections sometimes on the civilian side looking into the military. You see what they're doing, you're proud of them, you support them, but you don't really know all the things they're truly going through on a day-to-day basis when they're serving. And so it really was like this reality to me of how hard he was actually working going through it. And it really
Mm.
like inspired me and to do more and to be better, just to show like, hey, I'm going to live on this legacy for him and what I was doing with my service.
Okay. How did you ever get to go out there and kind of mess around with the planes he was working on or
Yeah,
anything like
yeah,
that?
we got to go out there a couple times on the flight line and see the
Mhm.
planes, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
It's funny because the Air National Guard base here in Tucson used to have a
Mhm.
pool and used to have, like, a clubhouse, so we'd go out there, we got to hang out with all the other guard members, so while you're swimming in the pool, you see, like, the F-16s flying over. It
Oh,
was a really
cool.
neat experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
Yep.
I fill up. I work for the 160th, and I get to fuel the aircrafts here in Fort Campbell. And we got these. We had a what is it? The bombers, the big old. I don't even know what this called.
The
But they came. I was like,
Stereotypes.
man, this thing's cool. I was in awe.
Sometimes you're like, how does that thing get in the air? It's so
Yeah,
big.
for real. Yeah.
So, Christine, you faced a lot of challenges during your transitions. Like you went from teen mom to military service, then to civilian life. So, was there a time where you felt like maybe stuck or a little bit of depression? And if so, how did you push through it?
Yeah, no, I think anytime you go through any transition, it's new, it's unknown. You don't really know about it. There's a couple of feelings you could go through that. You're either feeling like excited and ready, maybe you're a little nervous. And I think sometimes that initially drives you to go through that next change. But once you get into that transition and you're like, well, I really don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know what's going on, then you start to kind of question yourself. And then it can take you down that path of like depression and kind of getting losing yourself again. You're forgetting why you went through the transition, right? That initial transition for me of being a teen mom, I was kind of like, no, I got to do this. I got to show up. I got to get through it. I got to do it for my kids. And so that initial transition helped me get into that military transition where I had that mindset again, refocusing on why I'm doing this, what's going on, what's my goals moving forward. And then when I transitioned to the civilian life and even into my new business, it was like, oh no, I felt lost again because I felt new, right? I felt like I don't know the paths that I need to really take to get successful and be successful. And sometimes I think that I would get impatient. I'm like, I need to know this now. Why am I not an expert at this now? And then you lose that and you start to feel not worthy. You start to feel lost. You start to feel all these negative emotions, but I think it's stepping back in that transition and saying, okay, what's going on? Why am I here? What are the next steps to move forward? And just taking it day by day, step by step, breaking it down simple into a task to be like, okay, what is that thing that I need to do next to get me going to the goal? It's those baby steps like that you can get there. You just got to take them and keep going and remember why you're doing it.
Hmm. And so, how was your understanding of strength and resilience? How has that changed from the time you was a teenager to now a mother of five and also a business owner?
Yeah, so, like, I think when I was younger, and I think when you are younger, you're like, there's that fear is not really there. You're more fearless, right? You're like, what is that? YOLO, I can do it. Like nothing's gonna happen, right? And then things start hitting you, right? You start failing, and things don't work out, and then that fear starts setting in. Like, can I do this? Am I strong enough for it? Will I be able to move forward? And I sometimes have to go back into that mental state of when I was a teenager. Like, look, you did it. Look, you're here. Look, you keep pushing forward. Like you've gotten through every worst day of your life. You're still here. You've gotten through it. So just keep moving forward. There's a different mindset now of, yeah, I have to think about my kids. Yeah, I have to think about the next steps I'm making financially and where I'm moving. But if I live too much in that fear, then I'm not going to go anywhere and you get stagnant, you get stuck. So it's like you've done it before, you've gotten through it, you can keep moving forward. And I think that to me is huge when it comes to that strength and resilience. Just remembering who I was and what I did and how it got me through to where I am today. I think that's huge.
So, there was a time where you had an injury. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I was an athlete. So I grew up and I played every single sport. And I was picked for first for every team. And I was really good. I was really good at every sport I was a part of. When I was a freshman, I tore my ACL playing soccer.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was bad, and it kind of threw me off. Like threw me off huge when it came to who I was and who the reality of like everything that I was an athlete. I was an athlete. That's what I was going to do. I was going to go on and I'm going to be an athlete. And it just kind of tore me from that reality. And I was like, now what? And that's kind of where I fell into like the depression and the feeling lost and not sure like what am I going to do now?
Mm.
What was your sport of choice? Like that you really I know you played a lot, but what was your like you loved to do?
Softball. Definitely
Softball?
softball was my
Okay.
sport of choice. I was a pitcher. I was a pitcher and a
Oh
catcher, so I could
wow.
do both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I, man, how is the ACL? Does it bother you today?
It does. I've actually had 3 surgeries on it since then.
Yeah,
So it's been one of the difficulties. Thankfully, it didn't keep me from joining the service that first time around,
yeah.
because I was still young, so I was able to kind of get myself back from it. And then through my service, I kind of just all the running, all the stuff
Hmm.
we've been doing, all the pressure put on it. It's kind of it's they tell me I need a new knee. They're like, yeah, you need a new knee. You can't get it though. You have to wait until you're older because so I'm kind of sitting here with a bad knee living through life until I can eventually be old enough to get a new knee.
That's crazy. No,
Mhm.
you're too young to get a new what?
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
So, what advice, Christine, would you give yourself? Uh, talk to your teenage self after you, especially after you lost that identity with the injury. What advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, and I saw that question. It kind of is like made me think about it because that injury truly set me on the trajectory that is what I am today, right? I had to reevaluate what my identity was. I think the biggest thing, if I could go back to my younger self and just be with her in that moment, I would just hug her. I would be
Hmm.
like, Christine at that age felt very alone. I had my parents, but they were doing their own thing. They were, in their I was the oldest of 3 girls, so I could just imagine, all the things they were going through, right? They didn't really see what I was suffering with that injury. They didn't see all the mental I was going having to go through, especially as a teenager. So I would go back, give her a hug, and just tell her, "Hey, it's okay. It's okay. This is a crappy moment right now. You are living in a crappy moment, and that's okay. Yeah, you can't play your sports. Yeah, you can't do all the things you used to do, but this is just going to make you a better person. This is going to
Hmm.
make you see that you can do other things. There are other things that you are capable of succeeding at and being better at, not just being an athlete. And it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to feel because at that point too, like, I was afraid to feel those emotions, to cry, to understand, like, I was supposed to be tough, like, I'm supposed to get through this, I'm an athlete, like, come on. And I think it really hurt me in that because I was just getting lost at that time. Like I said, I was a freshman, got behind in my studies because I was a really good student too, but I was getting behind in my studies. I was hanging out with, not the best of people. And so I was just going down like another path that wasn't really me at the time. So just kind of putting her back on that positive, like you can do this kind of path and continue on because it's gonna get better and you're gonna be better. Just get through this right now.
Hmm. So did like you said, the injury didn't prevent you from joining the military. So did joining the Air Force, did it keep you on that positive path, and did it give you that athleticism that you was torn from, so to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it did. It brought me back to it. So after the injury, I got into like physical therapy and I was working. It definitely wasn't the same. I wasn't out there doing all the things I could do. But when I got into the military, getting back out there and running and doing all the strength and just doing all the things that I knew or that I did as an athlete felt really good. The competitive, I that competitiveness I was missing while I was injured, while I was healing again, it felt like it was back, and that camaraderie and that team. I was on another team again. I remember during basic training, I'd be running and I'd be like, "Okay, come on, let's go. You could do it. Let's, where are we at? Where are we at?" And like motivating people around me and pushing forward and just feeling that again. And it was great because it felt like it all came back. It just started inspiring me, started feeling that positiveness again.
Mm.
Hmm. So you said you have 5 kids. What? How many boys? How many girls?
I got 4 boys and 1 girl.
Oh,
So I
that's
have
Oh,
my
good.
yeah, my 2 older ones. My 2 stepkids is 21 as
Hmm.
boy, 17, she'll be 18 in October, my daughter. And then I got my 3 boys who are 16, about to be 14 in a few weeks, and a 5-year-old.
Mm. Let's go to 21. This 21-year-old. Let's say one of them would decide to join the military. Like, what type of advice would you give them
Yeah,
about
it's
their
funny you
life?
say that. He actually is. He's actually out in Germany right now. He's serving in the Air Force. So proud
Okay.
of him. being out
Yeah.
there, continuing on the legacy. And we are all it's funny because you try and give if you have kids, you try and give them advice. You try to tell them and like, hey, I went through all this crap so you can learn. And so I learned
Mhm.
all the hard stuff so it'd be easier for you. And I'm seeing that with my son. I'm like, okay, look, you're going in there, you're gonna have tough days. You're gonna have days you don't want to do it and you don't want, you're tired and you're stressed. You gotta go up, get up, show up, be the best self you can be. One
Mhm.
of the biggest things, especially being a financial professional, I'm like, save that money. You're single, you don't have no kids, you don't got no responsibilities right now other than showing up to work and being the best airman you can be. I said, put that money away. Yeah, you can have a little bit of a fun fund, but put that money away. Save it for a future you. It's gonna be helpful in your future. And so it's all of those things that I'm trying to prepare him for that I didn't have. Now, is he listening to all of it? He's struggling a little bit. He's like, I know better, mom. I know better.
Mhm.
But you kind of see him picking up on it. One of the biggest things I told him was like, your TSP, put to that TSP, put to that money. And that's the one thing, thankfully, he's listening to. But he's
Okay.
out there working hard in Germany. And, even if my other kids, same thing, if they want to join and go in, actually, my daughter's looking to go to the Air Force Academy. She'll be a senior next year. So she's working hard at doing that. Yeah, so I think it's great them seeing the benefits that it really provided us as a family and them wanting to continue on that service it's really a great feeling.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You're giving them great advice, especially
Mhm.
financial advice. You know, that's I'm sure he's listening. That's going to help out a lot. And was there any time when you felt like you had to? Did you ever have to get therapy or sit on someone's couch, talk to them about some things
Yeah.
you was going through?
Yeah, at first it was there's that stigma about going and talking to somebody, right? You just tough it out. You got to tough it out. Get over it. That's a big thing. Get over it. And when you try to get over it too many times and you don't really have guidance on how to get over it. No one tells you how to get over it. They just tell you get over it, right? And so you got to reach out. To me, it was very helpful finding a professional. At first it was a counselor. I actually finally reached out. They had a counselor on base who was like, she was there. They had presentations, of course, and so finally, I had an event happen in my life with some family that I was like, okay, I need to reach out because I was getting into that dark place again. I was seeing it, and I really couldn't pull myself out. So I talked to this counselor, and she helped me through it because that's the guide. She's the guide to tell me how to get over it. Yeah, I wanted to get over it, but how? And so she really walked me through my feelings and asked me some questions as to why I was feeling certain ways or why I was doing things or acting out in the ways that I was. And she was really good at guiding me on how to have those tough conversations with those people in my family that I was kind of struggling with, and kind of the toxicity and breaking that chain on how to get through it and how to get past it. So it helped me to become not only a better person, but a better airman, a better mom, all those things. So I always turn to that. We still see like a counselor here and there of like, I'm really feeling this way. How do I get through it? My husband and I, we've done couples counseling because we are two different people and we have two different ways of having conversations. And if we can't really understand the other one, we can't meet each other halfway, or we don't understand when one needs more or one doesn't. And being able to have those tough conversations in a safe space with someone who can walk you through it just helps guide you on how to push those conversations, how to get through those feelings. And then they give you the tools that when they're not around, how to walk through it, how to work through it, and how to really deep, dive into that mental space to understand why you're feeling that way. It's super helpful, especially when you feel lost, especially when you're like, I don't know what to do.
What would you say to struggling veterans? That struggle with the idea of seeking help, especially mental help.
Yeah, there's so many resources out there, and there's some that are private. Like they won't say, they won't go through it. They're not going to really, uh, you won't have to share with anybody that you're doing it. So if that's the stigma that's stopping you, do it. Um, if it's you're not, again, it's the that block of to get over it. I can work through it. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you need that guidance. It's okay. It's not weakness. It's not weakness. It's if anything, it provides you strength with you sitting in that mental fog, with you sitting in that darkness, it's preventing you from being the best person you can be. It's preventing them from chasing those goals or finding that happiness that there is in your life. And a lot of that happiness you can create, but you can't create it if you're stuck in the fog. So reaching out to somebody and just going through and even just having a conversation sometimes to just get whatever it is off your chest helps you to see things clear. It gives you it's your guide to show you how to get through that fog, how to be better, and then how to just create that happiness again and find your path.
Yeah, one of the biggest thing we try to advocate on here is mental health, and like you said, it is kind of like, especially with leaders, it's kind of like, hey, you need to take care of who's under you, and you lead from the front, and it's kind of like, nothing can be wrong with you. You got to mentor these soldiers. I know I went through it, and I didn't. Somebody had to pull me to the side and said, "Hey, man, you just a number to the military. You need to take care of yourself." So I know when I got out, you're used to a structure in the military. Wake up, go to PT, go to work, do all this. And when I got out, I kind of struggled with it. Did you have any struggles when you got out? You didn't have that structure in your civilian life, and if so, how'd you find your way?
Yeah, initially after getting out, I got a government job. So
Hmm.
it was the same kind of structure, so that was helpful, and I noticed that it was good. That kind of structure was good for me. But when I decided to take the jump to do my own business, I started to notice how without that structure, it was a struggle.
Okay.
Trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? When do I need to do it? Because I was always told, so it was easy. It was easy because someone told you when to wake up, when to show up, where to be, what to do. So when it turned into me having to decide it, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And going through my day, and I noticed I struggled in my business at first because I was like, I'm not getting any business. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should try something else. Maybe I just need to go back to the government work and get back into it. So it's kind of like dampening my dreams of being, having my
Mm.
own business, doing my own thing, because I was like, well, I can't do it. Right. So I was already giving up on myself. But thankfully, I stopped and had a conversation with a mentor. And that's one thing I would really suggest if you're struggling with anything like that. Find yourself a mentor, find someone that's doing things that you want to do or be doing or has a structure that you like, and just ask them, "Hey, how did you do it?" You know, brave enough to ask that question because those people, they're people too, and they started out where you were, right? And
Yeah.
so this mentor was like, "You got to schedule. You got to." And I was like, "Okay." So at first I was like, "Let me schedule," and then I put out like this dream schedule of this is what I want. We're gonna do this, and this is gonna happen every single day. It's gonna be exactly like this. And of course, my life, having 5 kids, having all these things,
Yep.
all these clients, all these different things. I was like, "Okay, that don't work." And so I was like, "Okay." He stopped me again. He's like, do it one day at a time. Get down at the before you go to bed, look at your calendar for the next day and just that next day you can only control that. Control the next thing. What is it? Find the important things you need to do that next day. Um for me, whether it be like my thing is I need to get into the gym. I need to make sure that that actually happens. It needs to happen. For me, it's reaching out to clients. That needs to happen. So I need
Mhm.
to make sure that at least at minimum, those core things need to happen. And so that night, I would schedule those core things. Nothing can interrupt me. My kids need to respect my day as if I was at actual work. Like I can't just be going picking you up McDonald's for lunch. I need to focus on what I'm doing. And so when I changed that mindset and actually put a focus on it and scheduling it that next day, it was a lot easier for me to run through it. I created the structure I
Mhm.
needed to go through it. And that really helped me to be more successful.
So you didn't really have a schedule where you micromanaged, but you had certain benchmarks you needed to make during the day, and you kind
Mhm.
of set it like that. Okay, that's definitely a good way to look at it.
Yes,
Now,
especially client meetings, things like that.
yeah.
So they'd come in and I know I'd have a client meeting, but there's benchmarks I need to throw in there. So I need to
Hmm.
make sure at this time I'm gonna do it. And I can't get it interrupted. This is it just as important as if I was out in the office or on the field. You can't just be like, oh, I gotta go. No, this is important. I gotta do it.
I got you. Now, being in the Air Force and being a contractor, you probably deal with a lot of stuff. You're in this big realm, and getting out transitioning. Did you feel like your skills that you acquired were undervalued?
Yeah, being in, like, because I was a contracting officer there in
Hmm.
the Air Force, and
Yep.
so we were talking about it a little bit earlier, how they had bonuses for
Yeah.
contracting officers that were like $90,000
Yeah.
re-signing bonus,
Crazy.
right? It's
Yeah.
crazy. And that's because getting out, that you could find a really good position making pretty good money. So I had that
Mhm.
mentality. As soon as my service was finished, I'm like, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna find a job, I'm gonna be making money. Like I was ready for it. And at the time, I hadn't quite finished my degree yet. And they're like, well, actually, yeah, you have all of this service, all this experience, but you don't have your degree yet. So we can't hire you. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to work to my degree. So let me see if I can find something else that I can do. And at the time, we were living in El Paso, and in El Paso, there's a lot of jobs, especially in contracting and like project management, which is what I was
Mhm.
getting my degree in, that require you to speak Spanish. And I'm an Arizona Mexican, and we don't really know Spanish. There's a whole story behind it, but I didn't really wasn't taught Spanish, in the generation it kind of got lost. And so I wasn't being able to get jobs because I couldn't speak Spanish. So then it was like another hit. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
well, what am I going to do? I have all these skills that I could provide if you just let me, show you. And it was struggle finding a job. So I refocused. I started just finishing my school. And I can't sit still. I'm like, I got to work. So I decided to start applying. There was this job on Indeed for a personal assistant. And I was like, all right, I could do that. I mean, it seems pretty easy. It's not really what I do, and I can do so much more. But hey, I need to do something while
Just
I'm
for
going to
the
school.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I got the job, and I was actually a personal assistant for two CEOs, one being a financial manager, and another one
Mhm.
being she ran a trucking company. And I just started doing tasks, and then I'd go above and beyond, and then I'd start taking on things, and then I'd start like, "Hey, I know you're doing this," and for the financial manager, I was like, "Hey, oh, in your marketing, I see you're doing this," and I would just kind of throw in a little bit of the things that I would work or things that I would do as far as management goes, and then she
Mhm.
started to see like, oh, you got, like, special skills that, weren't really shared initially, and you're more than just what this job. And she hired me on as, like, a marketing director,
Right.
and then she brought me on, like, for project management, like, she was opening up a new business. She actually brought me on to help her, get together and put together the stuff for the new business. So, slowly showing my skills, even taking on a position that wasn't really that was very, as far as my skills go, very undervalued.
Mhm.
I just started working the best I knew I could and started showing up every day, showing every skill that I could, not trying to hide it back, not trying to dampen it because I was in a position that wasn't, at my skill level. I just showed up every day and worked hard and then provided those extra skills, and it kind of made me stand out, and that's when it kind of helped me grow. She's actually the person that brought me into being a financial professional. She gave me the opportunity to show up and to provide my skills, and then now has offered me the opportunity to be a financial professional. So it's just showing up, even though you're going into that transition, and you may not show up in the job that you thought you were going to be because you have all this experience. You can't let it dampen, that those goals and those dreams. You got to keep working and keep show up in the best self that you can be, because people will see it. People will. There are good leaders out there. If you're meant to be there, they're going to see it, and they'll call you out. They'll bring you up.
Okay. So, as a veteran, you served. How has that evolved since leaving the Air Force?
Yeah, I
You
think
think?
it's always with me.
Okay.
I actually, when I do my presentations with my clients, that's one of the things I initially tell them. Like that's part of me. That's part of my
Mhm.
identity now. That's who I am. I live, through integrity and that service before self. Like I'm helping you. That I carry those with me, those principles with me in my business now. So my husband and my husband, he served as well. He retired. He works with me hand in hand in this business, and that is definitely what we set the foundation of our business on. It stays with us, and now with my son being in the military, and we get to be, military
Mhm.
parents, it's always out there, and it's always supporting. So it's never gone. I still carry it with me almost every day.
I got you. Do you think that we do enough to focus on helping veterans find purpose beyond the military careers?
I think we would like to think they do because they offer so many resources, right? They're like, "Oh, hey, reach out to this," or "Hey, do that," or "Hey, here's this." And it's great. Don't get me wrong, those are all great resources to have. But what I see with veterans is they struggle to reach out to get those
Yeah.
benefits. I think i- if they were to provide those as a transition out, or they know someone's getting out. And it's funny because when I got out, there's something called the yellow ribbon program, and when you're
Mhm.
getting out of the military, transitioning out of the military, everybody's supposed to participate in it. You're supposed to go to it. It's like a 2-3 day presentation of what they say, here are all the resources that there is available to you, outside of the military when you get out. Well, I think we need to do a better job transitioning out before that, not just in a 3 day class. It needs to be something that while they're still in, while they still have to show up for work and do those things, it's something that they start preparing for them sooner and a little bit more
Mhm.
of a, lengthy thing. Or even so, like in the service, throughout service, say, hey, here's are some things that when as a civilian or as things, it's just a preparation for getting there while they're still in. Because I think if they're more comfortable through it and they know more of it before, then they're more likely to reach out, or they already know beforehand before they get out that what they can and can't do.
Yeah, they got a lot of check the blocks, like you were saying. Yeah, go to this link, talk to this. Me, I need it to be broken down Barney style. I
Mhm.
want you to talk to me like I'm a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Walk me through it. So I think we should have that in place, maybe.
Mhm.
Now, when I went through my transition, I got out in 2019. They did have some good classes, but I think they could have did more. You
Mhm.
know, I think they really could have did more, and that's what we're trying to do: help veterans ourselves, trying to help them transition. So,
Yeah, yeah,
good.
it was. It felt very box check. Like, okay, we're good.
Mhm.
Yep, you got this one. Oh, you know what? This person didn't show up. We're just gonna run through the slides really fast. Like it just felt very, it was good information. It just felt very rushed. It could have been a lot better, taught, right? Breaking down, like you said, making it simplify it so it's not so overwhelming. You're already getting out of the service, so everything's overwhelming to begin with. You're
Oh
trying to
yeah.
plan, you're trying to do all these things. Again, the unknown. But so it's very overwhelming. So if it's broken down a little bit, I think spread out and easier to step by step directions, it's a lot. It'll be helpful.
And I didn't realize how overwhelming it was getting out, doing something for a long period of time, and then just like cold turkey, boom, you're cut off.
Hmm.
It was very overwhelming, and yeah, I struggled a little bit too. So and I think a lot of veterans struggle, and they just need to seek that help.
Hmm.
And some just don't know, and that's why we have this platform to try to educate. So
Yeah, definitely. I got, a couple of call them old heads, like my uncles. They were in the military, and
yeah.
even trying to get them to go out there and, hey, you got benefits. You got benefits because you served. Go get them. Go use them. They're out there for you. And I'm going to tell you, like, even me, the whole like for disability, I was like, I can't. I'm not going to do that. Like that, I can't. I'm young. Like I shouldn't. But that's something that my service earned me to go out there and apply and just see what you can get and what you can do. The worst they can tell you no when you're in the same boat that you were before, but you go out there and you ask, and what you realize is I think they've fixed a lot of those services and they've fixed a lot of those processes, so it's not as difficult, and they do have people that will help you walk through those processes to get your benefits. It's just taking that step to make the call.
Yeah. Well, in your instance, I mean, tearing your ACL, but I guarantee not all that running and all the activities you did in the Air Force didn't help it.
Oh, yeah.
So you're entitled to,
Yeah,
take stuff when
definitely.
you get out. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, Christine, what's the occupation now, and what's the the rewarding part of your job that you get?
Yeah, so I'm a financial professional. I get to help families, individuals, businesses get financial freedom and find that financial freedom, finding those paths to get there, whether it be savings, debt snowballing, paying off that debt, or planning for retirement. Just seeing those money goals come to realization to me is huge. For someone to come in, I know I've had several clients, some that are struggling hard in debt, and then come out of that and buy their first house, or seeing just these families and the things that they can do, just finding their full potential financially. And a lot of it is education. We just weren't taught, about finances ever. They give you those here onesie twosie save money. Okay, I'm saving money, sure, but I'm going to use it because now it's there, so I want to use it. They don't
Mhm.
explain why or how or what to do with it. So for me, it's really truly educating everybody and anybody that I can about the importance of just having a plan and knowing how to protect that plan and knowing how to make that plan become wealth and growing it, and then that wealth becoming a legacy for your
Mhm.
life.
Oh
So,
yeah, legacy. I like that.
so how would someone, if they're having some type of financial struggles, what would they do? What would they go online and look up a person of your career profession? What would they have to do? What would be the steps? What would they have to say?
Yeah, I mean, you could find a lot if you went out there. I mean, it's simple as starting like budgeting or things like that. There's so much out there and it can get very overwhelming. My company is a subsidiary of New York Life, but there's a lot of things out there that they're available for that. But there's also a lot of good financial professionals that can do it. For me specifically, we're Crown Wealth Strategies. You can find that online, but you can go out there and just start small, right? Start with budgeting, start with going through it, um, and finding a plan for you. Finding a plan every month that goes through your monies and just gets you with your aligned with your goals. So for me specifically, they can always hit me up on my social media and they can reach out to me and I'll be happy to sit with them and just go through those planning phases and help them get on the right path.
Yeah, I need to look you up myself. I owe Penn a few dollars, so I gotta put
Yeah,
that.
we can make it happen.
He want cash
Okay.
in his hand.
Hey, that's one of the things you figure out how to minimize paying taxes, man. That's
Yeah.
one of the key things I teach, how you can, get that money that you make and keep, most of it
Mhm.
instead of paying it back, paying it out there to to IRS.
All right, man. We might gotta look at her up, man.
Oh, absolutely. I wanna get a trust.
Yeah, no, trusts are great. A lot of
Mhm.
people, what they don't realize is, going with you build this financial, pot, right? You have all
Mhm.
these things in your life you work hard for and that you do. And then you're like, okay, well, what if something happens to you? Then what? Then
Mhm.
where does everything go? What happens, right? So the trust kind of helps protect that, and it kind of guides it with, and takes all of your assets and things and puts them in one place, and then gives a guidance on what happens with all of that. Should something happen to you, or where you actually want those assets to be divided out and how you want them to flow.
I heard you can, and you would know better than me because I just heard you can have, like, let's say I'm a W-2 employee, I can have all my paycheck go into a trust and it minimizes taxes.
Yeah, there's a way, like with your taxes, and again, with advice, like seeing it, I have to see everything
Yeah,
and
I got you.
understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely looking into with the tax accountant to be like, okay, what do we do here to make sure that we're saving that money?
I
Because
got
we want you to be able to hit those financial goals. We want to be able to get you to save more of that money and to keep more of that money than having to pay it out. There's lots of ways. There's lots of ways that you can to put your money in places that makes it right. It gets you those goals, and especially protect future you and, like I said, your legacy, your
you. Mhm.
kids, and things that want they're going to be around even after you, and just providing that foundation for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I assume, I mean, if someone's coming to you for help, then you assume they're not too sensitive. It's not a sensitive topic about their finances. But sometimes I see you can get some people or get some, it's kind of hard to talk about.
Oh, one of the hardest things they say,
Right.
I saw a statistic that people would rather talk about their sex lives than their finances.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I
And
believe you.
so, yeah,
Mm.
and I think to me, when I go into any kind of meeting or with a client or even someone who's kind of hesitant, like, I'm not here to judge.
Mhm.
You've been living this life for I don't know how long doing your finances. If you're happy with where you're at right now, then you're happy. That's your life. That's how you want to do it. But if you're in a spot right now that you've been doing the same thing and you don't want to talk to me to be better, then keep doing it. You're gonna stay stagnant. But to me, I'm like, I don't judge you. I mean, life's you got to spend money. You got to do things. You weren't educated in it, and even the people that are even have people advisors and people that tell them where to put their money and how to manage it. So to me, I'm like, even with my clients now, like, oh, I accidentally spent this, or I went off plan. I was like, that's all right. Hey, we're humans. This is what we do. We didn't know. We're trying to be better. As long as we're trying to be better, you're showing up. um a lot of we do is like very confidential. I'm not going to share it with anybody. I'm not going to go and spread the word on what you're doing, or look at this guy, he doesn't know how to save his money. No, I'm here
Mm.
to help you, because it's like a doctor, right? You're not going to go to a doctor and be like, if they're just like, okay, you're here. All right, let me just write you a prescription. Here you go. You wouldn't
Yeah.
trust that doctor. The doctor didn't sit there and listen to you or hear anything that, hear your symptoms and all the things that you went through. So it's the same when it comes to talking with someone about their finances. I'm going to sit there and be your financial doctor. And you got to tell me some of those things that you've gone through. It's okay. Again, you weren't educated. You didn't know the best way to put this money, or where to put it, or what credit cards, or the best way to use a credit card. No one teaches you those things. They just say you're approved. Here's, $5,000. And you're like, heck yeah, let me just go spend all of it. You have that money in hand. Let's go do it. So it's just really putting, that guidance. And I share my stories too. I said I wasn't always the best at any of this, and we go through it, and we work through. And to me, it's just kind of making that space more comfortable. Once they sit there and go through it, we talk through it, and just know they're not alone. A lot of people will come out, and I'll see clients be like, I have a lot of debt, and I'm sorry. And they'll tell me the amount on their credit card. And I'm like, well, actually, that's not bad. Like, you're actually okay. Or, every single person that sits in my chair is like, it's just not good. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Everybody, honestly, that sits here, my clients, they feel that way. They just feel that they're not in a good space. So they're like kind of hesitant. But once we get through talking through it, and working through each of their situation, it's like, okay, they ease up. And then I'm like, see, here's where you are, and here's where you can be. So we just got to get you there.
Mm.
Yeah, I tell Penn all the time, man, I don't want to be freaky and broke. But you know what? Now that you say that, like, I think it'd be a good idea if like financial advisors was like a part of mental health.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I would assume that a lot of people who's getting out the military aren't financially stable, and that brings a lot of stress into their life, exiting out of out of their main career into the abyss of something they don't even understand or know what's going to happen. And I think that really rocks their confidence.
Yeah, you're coming from something like a job that paid you every day. You're guaranteed that paycheck on the first or 15th, unless finance mess something up. But you're
Tell me
guaranteed that
about it.
check on the first and 15th, and then all of a sudden, it's nothing. And if you didn't plan for that, if you don't have a good savings, if you don't have a job already in place, all of a sudden you're like, where's my money going to come from? What am I going to do? I have your bills don't stop unless you plan some way that those bills would stop. They don't stop, they keep coming. Everyday life expenses keep coming at you, and you don't have a plan, or you didn't know where that money's going to come from here on out. Like, you're going to fall into a dark space, because then that little bit of savings you did have, it starts to go away, starts to dwindle. Maybe it's difficult, like with me, trying to find a job that you actually feel valued in. That money starts to dwindle, and you don't have a plan. It's hard. And that's why it's like reaching out into those programs to say, hey, ahead of time, let's get your finances together. Let's make sure that when this paycheck stops, you're going to be okay. And I think that's the biggest thing, is preparing for that, and saving and being aware of it. That's not only in the military, any job. Like, some people just feel stuck in their jobs, and they're really like, oh, I hate going to work. And they just don't feel like they can't leave because, well, it's their paycheck and they need to make money. Well, my biggest thing is like, start a savings right now. I call it an FU savings. So that way, when you have that money there, you can say, F you, I'm going somewhere else, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you have it. You're protecting yourself in that. And so with me, it's helping everybody see what those plans are, and making sure that you can have that freedom to do what makes you happy and to go on and live your life for you and your kids and whatever it is that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the military is one of the only places. I remember, first and 15, you can pretty much predict on how much you're getting. And if you see, wait a minute, I got $400 extra. Something's going on here.
Yep.
Because they mess up, give you the money, they're gonna take it right back when you least expect it.
Yeah, they are. They will get their money for sure. It is funny because if they overpay you, that money is coming right back
Oh
immediately.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
if they underpay you, that's another thing. You make sure you're watching that check because if they underpay you, it's like pulling teeth for them to fix that paycheck and get that money back. I always tell that's one of the things I tell my son. I was like, watch that paycheck. I know it's coming in. I know it's something you're
Mhm.
expecting, but if there's something off on it, don't just be thinking you go spend that money on whatever you want. You have that extra. I said, watch it. I said, immediately just go talk to finance, be like, hey, what's going on? What changed? What's different?
Yeah. So being that you're the skill that you have, and also being a parent, when do you think is the best time to teach a child financial literacy?
I think it's starting very young, like with my 5-year-old, it's okay, let's start. Hey, you got all, birthday money, right? Let's put some of it in your piggy bank. And, the rest of it you can spend on whatever you want because when that piggy bank starts to fill up, then we can either buy something bigger or let's set something there's a toy that you want. Okay, let's maybe we'll put into that piggy bank until you get that toy. But the only way you're going to be able to do it is if you keep that money to the side. And then he starts to see, okay, he gets excited because he starts seeing that little piggy bank fill up. And for us too, it's like we're able to start like money market accounts for our kids. It's
Mhm.
basically like an account where you can start putting savings into or high yield savings accounts where we can open up for them. So like my daughter, she got her first job and it's like, okay, well, we're going to put, 50% of that or more into your account so you can save and you start putting because you don't pay no bills right now. You don't do anything. So put that money aside, let it grow. It's you didn't have it before, so you don't have it now. Just put it away. And then
Mhm.
so it's showing her and then kind of teaching her like, look at how it's growing. Look at the account and look how it's growing. And you're not even doing anything. You just put that money in there and it's just sitting there and it's growing by itself. So it's kind of just teaching them like there's ways. I like to, it's funny because I'm a financial professional. So I'll show them, hey, if you save this money, look how much money it can be when you're this old. When you're
Mhm.
my age, you could have this much money. It's
Mhm.
just those little sacrifices you're making now for your future. Because as a teenager, as a young kid, you don't see that. You don't understand it. But I think if it's taught little by little here and there what it means, what a savings means, and not only what a savings is, but what are you saving for? Is it saving for a vacation? Is it saving to buy a car? Is it saving because you want a new house? So it's determining what those savings are for. So if you start teaching that younger and sooner in life and how the money flows, I think it's better and easier understood. It's just like any kind of subject in school. You start small, like in math, addition, subtraction, then you get into division and multiplication. So it's
Right.
just if you bring it on slowly and just grow on it as they get older, then as those tougher subjects come in when it comes to finances, they just kind of pick it up because they've already known throughout all these years how it goes and where to put their money and what to do.
Hmm.
And one thing I did, I got two daughters in college, and I put them on my credit card as an authorized
Mhm,
user, like a
mhm.
couple years before they graduated, and now their credit score is better than mine.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was
I
like, okay.
It is smart. It's something that people don't really know. Some credit cards is when they turn 13, some it's when they turn
Mhm,
16. You get them, you add them as an authorized user on that card.
mhm.
I didn't give them the card. I was like, that card stays in my,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they don't get a
but
card. No.
yeah, and as long as you're paying and as long as you're being smart about your credit and the stuff you're doing, it's going to be beneficial for them in the future.
Yeah, I think when dealing with myself, I found myself not reading a lot on financial
Mhm,
literacy. It's like we want to wait till we see something on social media or something to spark our interest, and then we want to be told what to do, but not necessarily want to learn all the information to the point where we could teach it. I was
Mhm.
always taught you learn something once you're able to teach it,
Mhm.
and so when it comes to financial literacy, If I sat right now, I couldn't teach it. I only just regurgitate what I've heard of what financial literacy is. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that always concerns me. That I need to spend more time reading about budgeting, reading about these things, and understanding, and going to the next book and the next book, because I feel like what you're only gonna get out of you what goes into you.
Mhm.
So if it's not in you, you're not going to be able to necessarily project that in or show that in the actions of your life. So when I see financial literacy, I think I have to study something on
Yeah, and
financial
it's for
literacy.
everybody. I think
That's
that's one
right.
thing is like it's not just for like people. I've talked to some clients. Well, I'm not rich. I don't have all that money. I don't need a financial planner. I'm like, do you have bills? Do you spend money? Then yeah,
Yep.
you there that you can use financial planning. It's not just for the rich. I think that was a lot of when I was growing up or when I was young and in the military things. I was like, financial advisor, financial planner. That's for rich people. Like I'm not rich. Like I don't need that. But that's not, and I think that's one of the molds I'm trying to show is like you can anybody if you have money you can have financial planning. You
That's
don't
right.
need to make all this money to start. People are like, "Well, when I'm ready, when I get settled, when I do." I'm like, "No, no, no. You do that now so you can be settled. You
Hmm.
can be better. You can put yourself in a good position for your future." I think that's like huge stigma to break. Is like, no, financial planning's for everybody. You have like a couple dollars. You're like, okay, where are you going to put it? What's the next step? I think for me, that's huge on teaching and what I do when I go through my teaching or when I find new clients. I was like, you it's a financial planner is not too good for you. You can deserve it. Go out there and find one, talk to one. Um, make sure you're doing the research, like you said, and the reading on these people. Make sure they're, legit and are out there to help you like in any business, there's people that'll try and swindle you, but there are really good people out there that just want to help you go and be successful in what you're doing and make sure that you're protected and make sure that you have everything in line for your future.
Hmm. All right, so let's say Christine is in a stadium and you're giving a women's conference to a whole bunch of women thinking about joining the military. What advice would you give them?
Ooh, I just got sweaty like thinking like, oh, should I get on this no, for me, there's gonna be a lot of naysayers and a lot of people with
Hmm.
opinions on your life, always. And I had that. I had that when I was coming into the military. The person that was supposed to be my partner and supposed to support me the most didn't
Mm,
when I first joined in the military. When I was talking about joining the military, I had a lot of people telling me about, oh, you shouldn't do it because X, Y, and Z. You're going to have that a lot in life, but when you set your eye on that goal and what you want to do, and you especially something like the military where it's going to provide you with the foundation and the benefits and all the great things that the military does for an individual, you go through it. You know what's right for you. You know what you need to do best. You feel it in your gut. Even though there's people that are going to be against you, you can do it and you can continue to do it. You be your biggest cheerleader. You go up there
mhm,
and no matter what they say, you got this. You can do it. It's been the most amazing thing for me in my life. It's provided for my family, provided for my future, helped me to be in the position I am today. And it was against all the naysayers. It was against that person that was supposed to be my number one and I went and did it and I proved them wrong and I continued to prove them wrong even from the very statistic of being a teen mom. Like I continued to show up and step up and the military really gave me that confidence to push through it and to keep going. It gave me that camaraderie to see like what it means to be in a team to push everybody forward. So I think if even if you have those people that are telling you no, you shouldn't do it or no, you're not good enough or those people that are against you, you just stand up and you keep going and you push through knowing that you're doing what's right for you.
awesome. Great, great advice. So, as a mother, veteran, businesswoman, what do you hope your kids see in you that would inspire them?
I hope they see how much of a hard worker I
Mm,
am. I hope they see how much I show up and continue to show up even on the hard days. I hope they see and take how caring and to be caring, be kind. You don't know what someone else is going through. You don't know what's happening on the other side, and just because they're acting a certain way, you don't know what's behind that. So always be kind, always, be supportive in that, be humble. I hope that they see that everything that I've sacrificed to get them and get us where we are, and to see the success that going and showing up all those days brought us to. So I hope they grab those things that'll just keep them going. And when they're feeling like they can't, they can just remember, like, yeah, mom did it. We can continue to do it.
Okay. How do you think you balance kind of like the weight of your past with your future goals?
I can't. I think when we call it weight, it feels like
Mhm.
we're carrying it, right? It feels like
Okay.
it's bringing us down and it's heavy. And so I really don't. I try to keep it beside me
Mm.
because it's what I don't carry it, but it's still there. I can look back and say, "Hey, you got through that. Hey, that because that my past is me no matter what. I can't go back and change that. I can't like cut the cord. It's what brought me here and who I am today. So I use it as a guide to say, okay, that's me. It's not me now. The failures, the no's, the things I went through, I got through them, and now I'm here. I'm not the same person. I think that person, 15-year-old me would look at me and be proud and be like, man, she's cool. Like, and that's what makes me proud of what I'm doing today. So I take it as inspiration, not as much as the weight carrying me anymore. It's like I took that backpack off. It's there. I can't get rid of it. It's still my backpack, but it's inspiring and it pushes me every day to keep being successful and keep moving forward every single day.
When you think of legacy, Christine's legacy, what do you want to leave behind? And like, what does that kind of look like for you?
I think about this and I think like when people show up to the funeral, right? And they start talking
Mhm.
about that person.
Oh,
And I would hope it's almost like the same things with my kids. Like she cared, she really wanted to help people. Like she helped a lot of people get through, whether it be financially, whether it be mentally, whether it be just being a supportive friend. Like that is the legacy I want to leave behind of being caring, showing up for people, and just being able to be like a good friend, a good, family member, a good mom, all those things that I'm just like a caring person. I think for me, I just want people to know that I'm here to help and to always be, if they need someone to just vent to or just talk to or someone like feeling down and they know they can reach out. Like that's what I want to leave behind, that they always knew that they could count on me, that to be caring and to be there for them and to be helpful in those situations.
oh man, that's awesome. Now, I listen to a lot. Some people listen to music in the gym. I listen to motivational speeches. And I listen to Eric Thomas, David Goggins, a lot of those. And David Goggins has one of these quotes that says, when you're struggling, use your past pain, keep it in your mental Rolodex. And whenever you need a boost or a push, think about that and why you're where you are. Do you have any times in that life that you do that?
Yeah, I think about when I got through my injury. I think about
Mm.
like those dark times sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had moments where I've sat in my closet and I've cried in the dark, thinking like, how am I gonna go on? Like where am I gonna go from here? And I sat there and I look back to those moments to be like, you got through that. You
Mm.
pushed through your hardest day. That is not you. That was you, but that's not you anymore. And you can push through those hard days. And I just think of those moments that kind of drive me, whether it be those naysayers, that kind of motivates me a lot to prove people wrong and say, no, I can do this. And it just kind of helps, like when I'm feeling down again, I'm like, no, you got this. You've done it before. You can do it again.
I got you. So, Kristen, if anybody needs to get a hold of you, want some financial advice, where would they go?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's crownwealthstrategies.com,
Okay.
but it's always faster. You can get a hold of me on my Instagram. I have it's KD Herms, Herms. That one you can shoot me a quick message. Let me know that you heard. You can always shoot me an email. My email is KHERMOSILLO at crownws.com. And you can always shoot me an email if you need some sit through it. I can go through and just give a presentation of what it is that we do. You just want some financial advice, I'm there. Reach out. I'll be happy to help.
Oh yeah, everything will be in the description, so you'll have all that goodies down in the description if you need to get a hold of her. And you also have a podcast too.
We do, yeah. So me and my husband, we're pretty silly. We do it because we just have so much fun together. The
Mm-hmm.
banter. A lot of people are like, told us like, y'all need to have a podcast because your life is crazy, with the 5 kids and everything we do. And so yeah, it's called Herm's House. And you can find Herm's
Awesome.
House podcast. We also have an Instagram page, but you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout. We also have a YouTube channel, so you can watch the videos there on YouTube channels.
Awesome.
Herm's House podcast. Yeah, we've gone through it. Our last episode, we were talking about gym breaking up. We had to break up in the gym because we just weren't working out. We had to break up. And then that same day we broke up in the gym, this pretty ripped dude walks in, and David's just always like staring at me, like making sure I don't look at that dude. So this is just some of the stuff we talk about too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What you got, Jay?
Christine, I appreciate you for coming on the show, giving us your amazing advice, and also just appreciate you for what you're doing now, life after boots. Continue on to being a great example for your family, and just furthering yourself and your future goals. We just want to just have you on also so we can show other veterans that there's life after boots, to keep going, to keep on chugging along and show that there's an example of other veterans who are still achieving their goals. So we appreciate you for coming to the show. Thank you.
Thank you. I
100%.
appreciate you for helping me. It's
Yeah.
been amazing. It's been great.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna see you on the next one. Stay swaggy, stay strong. Peace.